Now this video is about my Testarossa model airplane. It was a very unique and unusual construction project that I took with Les Demet's help. He helped every step of the way on this. He was inspirational. John Cafaro was super helpful on this. In fact, some of the footage of the car show that we're going to show on this comes from John Cafaro. Richard Oliver and Dub Jet were inspirational and helpful every step of the way. The model was powered by a Rojet motor, of course. And it's only one thing that I made that I call them the faux Ferraris. And it takes a lot more creativity to create a plane that looks like a Testarossa and features some of the bullet, the side fins, the scoops in the front, the scoops in the back. It's a lot harder than you think it would be until you actually go to do it. But with Les Demet's help, I was able to pull this off. So I want to thank Ray Dory for making this footage available and providing the disc that has the car show and the Testarossa. This is, to me, this is priceless stuff. The amount of time and energy that went into recreating the Testarossa features, basically the side scoops. And when I started this project, this took on a life of its own. Les Demet, who loved Ferraris, and John Cafaro, who is a Ferrari owner also, kept feeding me these pictures and things to inspire me. Now, I started thinking, how am I going to make those scoops functional when I build a model? And I was awake all night trying to figure it out. But there's about 5 or maybe more bullet features that if you want to capture the look of the Testarossa, the scoops are number one. Those side fin scoops. And that was on my mind. How am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? Now, John gave me, again, a lot of footage to work with. Les, again, we just hour after hour trying to figure out how we wanted to do this. But we wanted to make this what I'll call a faux Ferrari. Now, I've never been able to afford a real Ferrari in my life. I grew up pretty poor, but I wanted one. And I not only made a Ferrari model, I made 2 of them. And I also have 2 Ferrari motorcycles, faux Ferrari. So that was kind of cool in the end. Now, another little detail we wanted to incorporate in the model was the rear deck lid on a Testarossa has this grill with a Ferrari emblem. Well, I couldn't figure a way to get the Ferrari emblem in there, but you could see that the air would flow right through the fuselage. It's wide in the back. I was wondering maybe that was going to be difficult, make the trimming of the model difficult. Didn't affect it at all, but the air was flowing right through the fuselage, through those scoops. And this is the part that was difficult. I could not figure out how to get that rear grille. Les came up with some ideas, and we went back and forth on this. A lot of hours spent doing this, but it was so helpful to have all these pictures and the pictures that John Cafaro sent and the footage of the car show that showed some of the real features that we wanted to incorporate. Now, I wanted to, between the side scoop and the rear scoop and the little Ferrari stickers that John Pothier recreated for us. We made our own little Ferrari decals at the time. And one of the things I wanted to do, the Ferrari wheels were very unique, and I wanted to make open face wheel pants, thinking I could then have another feature that would give you the impression this really was like the Ferrari car. And again, I made the little, what I'll call hubcaps, though I could get in and see that part of the model, but every little part of it just added up. There was just no end to the little front grille, the little chin, the fact that in the front it got very wide behind the scoop. You had to look at this model from a lot of different angles to really appreciate just how much extra work went into the fuselage. Now, the wing and tail were relatively traditional, but those scoops, I remember like it was yesterday. Those scoops, they are the definition of, truly, a labor of love, for sure. Now, again, trying to capture the look of the back of the car, it looks easy when it's all done. It wasn't that easy. And we tried a lot of things that really didn't work out the way I wanted to. I tried making little copies of the Ferrari emblem to put somewhere on the plane. That didn't really work out. I even was looking at buying the little emblems that would be on keychains and stuff. Nothing really worked out. But the rear grille, this was such a big thing to get the rear grille, and I had to have the Raby rudder coming through that slot, so that had to be removable. And because this is a take-apart plane, everything gets more complicated when you're building a take-apart plane. But then when you go to buff it out or paint it, you save an awful lot of time. So we lost a lot of time in the very beginning making the take-apart features, and the cheek cowls, getting those blocks all carved in, getting that cowling, that little chin. Les was so emphatic. We had to have that little chin that made it look more like the car, the front end of the car. But again, we were doing this every step of the way. What normally would take an hour on a traditional model took a lot more hours when we did it this way. But having pictures to work from, and every step of the way being willing to change your mind. Some of the things, like the wheels, I had envisioned trying to make really scale wheels from little car model wheels, and it just didn't. Some of the things went over the top, and I didn't get to do everything I wanted, but I did make the ones with the little hubcaps, so I was happy about that. And they actually worked fine flying a model. We never had a problem takeoffs or landings. But to make this model, if you can imagine how many extra hours. Now, pretty much every model I ever built, I just was never satisfied or happy just building a traditional model. It had to have something special about it. All of the semi-scale planes, all of the twins, and the 2 Ferrari planes. Now, I do remember another thing. John Pothier and Les and myself, we went back and forth with the lettering. Back and forth, back and forth. How many times I changed it, tried to make it look more like what was on the real car. Back and forth, back and forth. In the end, I think we got it to where I was happy with it anyway. But looking at the car, has the little square Ferrari emblem in the front, which we tried to use, and in the back, of course, it has that grille, that with the horse right in the middle. And even to this day, I think about how I could have replicated that horse somehow. I don't know. I think that's one of the parts. That little horse, I stayed up nights thinking I could carve that out of balsa wood somewhere on the model, buy it in a jewelry store. Just unbelievable. But that's all part of the adventure of making a model like this. It isn't just an out-of-the-box standard model. And for people that are drawn into this kind of a project, and I was, this kept me up at night many, many nights over a very long winter building season. This, and of course, in this part of the world, you have a nice 3 to 5 month building season where you're usually not even looking forward to taking the garbage out. So having these videos from John Cafaro, having all the phone calls we made, I can't even imagine how many times we chit-chat on the phone about this and about that, and how are you going to do that, how are you going to do this. And looking back, and this was the first Ferrari model. The second one, the Novanta, was a lot easier to make because we had already gone through this process and figured out all the do's and don'ts of what we were going to do. And we already had plenty of Ferraris, the little decals and stickers and the lettering, and oh geez, just the hours that went into this. Hours, just unbelievable. But what it did, it got me super interested, it really did, in the whole Ferrari mystique. And I started collecting books and magazines, and again, John Cafaro helped me. And when I actually bought my FZR motorcycle and I painted it, I wanted to make a faux Ferrari motorcycle, a motorcycle that had a lot of Ferrari look to it, and that again became another challenge. So there's challenges within challenges within challenges, but in the end, this really kept me up at night for many, many years. Now, every model plane that I ever built and every motorcycle I've ever restored, or any project like that, houses that I've restored, they all become a chapter in my life. And I'm so happy that I can share these chapters, even late in life. I'm going to be 79. So obviously I'm not active like I used to be when I was the younger age. But having pictures, having videos, having the friendships that I had along the way, and these Ferrari models, these were just a special part of my life. Now what it did, it got me interested, even though I don't have the kind of money it would take to have a Ferrari car, of course out of my price range. Having these models was, for me, the second best thing. And having the Ferrari motorcycles, that was even better, because we had convinced people that Ferrari actually built motorcycles. Now, as I'd gone many times to car shows, every time I'd see a Ferrari, anyone, I'd always like to look at it. And I know as time has gone by, these older Ferraris, they still have a mystique about them, a charm about them. And there's just something about, I guess, the books that I have, the Ferrari books that I've read, how in Italy it must have been something to be a young man and riding around in a Ferrari and having a pizza pie or whatever. It was something special. And it added a dimension of my life of appreciation for cars. Now, I'm not a real car guy. I don't really know a lot about sports cars especially. But having this adventure with the models and the adventure of sharing it with such talented people and such people that had the passion for model airplanes that I shared with them. And now I'm looking at this and I'm saying, you know the kind of money it would take to have a real Ferrari collection or whatever. But having a collection of Ferrari motorcycles and model airplanes, I'm not sure many people in the world have a collection of Ferrari model airplanes and Ferrari motorcycles. It's a unique thing. And for people that appreciate it and get drawn into it, I know I did. And I think it was one of the very special times of my life. And I have some Ferrari models up by my model railroad that John Cafaro gave me. They're beautifully detailed. I'm sure they're probably to build one from scratch must be incredible how many hours it must take. I have two of them and I treasure them. And of course, again, thanking John Cafaro for all the time he spent inspiring me to do this. And again, it was my ongoing interest in Ferrari, the Ferrari Mystique. I did two of these. One is a Yamaha R1, an 09. The other one is an FZR Yamaha 1000. Both of them, I had convinced people they were made by Ferrari. And that was one of the fun things for many, many years of going to bike shows and different places where we'd have meetups. And of course, the bike people really don't know about the Ferrari planes, and probably the Ferrari plane people that saw them in real life don't know about the motorcycles. But in the end, I had them all. And again, everyone a unique, very unique chapter of my life. So if you never got to see the Ferrari planes in real life or the Ferrari motorcycles, I guess this video is the second best thing. The Testarossa, of all the models I've made, I love them all. They're like my children. But the Testarossa was, I guess, one of the ones that really kept me up at night. And I don't know that anybody else has ever tried to do something similar. But again, with the help of many people, especially Les Emmett, we managed to bring this to fruition, fly it at the Nationals. It was really a thrill. And it was one of the models, in my opinion, that flew really well. So, if you made it this far into the video, I hope you did enjoy sharing this chapter of my life and some of the memories that I have of a really wonderful time in modeling and in doing motorcycles and most of all, being a Ferrari fan. And thanks so much for watching.